College Football Update with your host, Sean Spencer and Alex Loosemore.
And I want to stay with another team that also got. We talked about Bama, Georgia, 12-1, haven't lost in forever. I am 0 forever against picking them. Finally, I was right.
Saturday, yeah.
Until Saturday, I was right. They lose by 3. Jared, I'm gonna come back to you. Is this right? You know, Bama beat them. They're no longer undefeated, and they were bounced out. Should they have been bounced out of the CFP?
So I'm going to be real with you. The SEC, the way that they have it set up because of their prestige, their wins they mean more compared to other wins. And so what I mean by that is when you have their teams are higher ranked most of the time in the top 10, top 5. And so those are high risk, high reward wins. So if you lose, you're out. Like it's completely out. And sometimes depending on how you lose, you know, if you get blown out, it can take you out that further. But when it's SEC and on SEC crime, you don't jump that far when you lose, right? You don't get bounced out when you lose. If they're both, let's say, you know, you got 2 SEC teams and they're both in the top 5, and it's a close game like we had, the loser's only gonna fall out. You know, maybe they're gonna stay in the top 10, maybe even still in the top 5. They're just gonna shuffle, and so this was prime for a coup for Alabama. Georgia had not been showing that they were the same dominant team that they were last year. They had chinks in the armor. They're working in the new starting quarterback. They had injuries. And I never really found their offensive game to be something that you need to be scared of if you can play some defense. You know what I mean? As far as creativity, like they'll mash you, right? They'll hit you in the mouth, and they lost 19. They lost 19 for a while too, but and I still don't think he's healthy, even though that he's back. But they could be had. Period. The whole SEC as a whole could be had. As a matter of fact, the best conference was the Pac-12. The Pac-12, surprisingly, from top to bottom. So the whole SEC could have been had, and so it was just set up right for Alabama if they could knock off Georgia. The end result was you got to win. Even if Alabama played them close, I'm just convinced they would have found a way to try to get a two-loss Alabama team in there somehow, some way, somehow. Let's say Texas loses, right? And I know that they'll try to run the head-to-head, but then even then they would try to still be like, well, it's how they lost because then Texas would have lost to Oklahoma State. Georgia would have lost. Alabama lost to Georgia, and how competitive. All I know is that Georgia lost, and this is what happens when you're the top dog, man. You can't lose at all. Your margin of error, especially when you carry it all the way to the end. You got to get your L early, and everybody knows that. You got to get your L within the first 4 or 5 weeks, then go on a run and make it to the championship game, and then hopefully whoever's in there is number 1. Or can be number 1, and then that way you can knock them off to catapult yourself, man. But Georgia lost. They knew the stakes when they got there. You heard Kirby trying to hype them up at the end, talking about they're one of the best. And that's the thing. That's when I knew the fix was in. Nobody was talking about, well, we're undefeated. We got a blemish, and we'll see what happens. No, we're still the best. If you can't look at us and see that we're one of the best teams, even though we just caught an L, I don't see how that works. Everybody they started throwing that best team language out as soon as the game was over. I knew the fix was in. I knew it was coming. As soon as they started throwing the best teams. When did 13-0 mean you was not the best team when you were Power 5? I understand if you play the Conference USA or you James Madison or you Liberty. Liberty is over there, okay? That respectfully.
Let's go, Liberty.
Respectfully, okay? They are over there. You know what I'm saying? Florida State got a right to be like, we one of y'all. How y'all gonna do this to us? We one of y'all.
Yeah.
We one of y'all. We one of y'all. How y'all gonna do this to us? I know we gonna get in. And they were like, well, the main one, the Beyonce of the college teams came through. So you gonna have to Sorry about that. You know, we're going. sorry about that. We're gonna just we go to Beyonce came through. You know, you're great. You did everything that you did. So we got a prime Beyonce right now doing her thing, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We're gonna. I'm sorry. We'll just
Circling
We're
back
gonna make
to
this
it.
move.
No, I don't know if you guys saw ESPN during the selection show on Saturday, and ESPN like Herb Street and them from the full week before. But going into Saturday, or before Sunday, Herb Street's backdrop was the 4 playoff team helmets. And before it got announced on Sunday, he had swapped that Florida State helmet for the Alabama helmet.
Huh.
Had it in the exact order 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Huh.
I
Did
didn't.
ESPN know ahead of time?
I saw the helmet behind him,
Oh,
but I
wow.
didn't connect any of those dots.
Yeah.
That's
No, he's absolutely right, man. He's absolutely right. There was nothing Florida State could do after that Florida game. I would imagine they already made up their mind. We could have. They didn't even think we were going to go undefeated, to be honest. And when we did, they were like, "Well, we already made up our mind. If Alabama does their thing, we already have that mechanism in place." Those scenarios are worked out well in advance. Trust.
They knew, right? They played that out.